Hatcher. It remains a very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatcher! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue special, I must say. I will have shortly on James Wilson, who people might know as the Sleep Geek. We'll be great having him on shortly. But before I do bring my guest on, just remember where you can find us. We are available on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe us on there. We are available on podcasts as well, so please go and rate us 5 stars. We're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. His logo's in the corner. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. And we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena and also where I am tonight at the Sky Blue Tavern, where I do most of my live recordings from as well. We're also in association with Coventry Ladies as well. So, yeah, if you listen to us, if you watch us, please go and rate us 5 stars or go and like and subscribe. So my guest today is a special. His name's James Wilson. He is a sleep geek. He has worked with Coventry City, so we'll talk more about that as well. But if you guys are trouble in sleeping, hopefully he may be able to give you some tips with that as well. So without further ado, he is this morning's on TV sleep doctor as well, sleep geek. It is James Wilson. Good evening, James. You okay?
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this.
Good. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it as well, mate, to be fair. It's much appreciated for you joining us as well. So we know that you're in a hotel room. We can see that. So it's very apt.
No, I normally do my podcast from my bedroom.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm actually in Birmingham, so does that get like a boo? I
could have got you down here. We could have done it live.
We could. I'm not.
You're not far from us. You're not far. Right. So, Sleep Geek. What's it all about? How did you get to be a sleep geek?
So I am. So for me, I've always been a poor sleeper. So sleep, very much a lot of it is our genetics. We inherit it from those that come before. So some of us are good sleepers by birth. Some of us are poor sleepers by birth. And for me, unfortunately, I was a poor sleeper by birth. And the paradox at the heart of my being is that my family made beds and mattresses. So I was a man selling mattresses who couldn't sleep. We employed a sleep expert in the family business. I'm going to be honest, it was a bit of a dipstick. He was the inspiration to me doing this because I thought I could do a better job. So like any time in life I was stressful. I was actually I'm trying to work in my I had Charles once football story. I played at the Centre of Excellence at Rotherham.
Okay.
For a couple of months.
That's your team, isn't it, Rotherham?
I'm a Rotherham United fan. That's why I started working in football. And my dad had actually been a professional footballer in the 60s under Tommy Docherty at Rotherham. But then Tommy Docherty told the Daily Mirror he was going to play for England and then sacked him 3 weeks later. So Tommy Docherty, as we know, was a quite erratic football manager and was always booed in our house when he came on the telly. So I kind of always been around sleep products. Decided I could do better than that fella. Trained as a kid sleep practitioner first. Specialised in teenagers. Got put forward for a Channel 4 TV programme called Secrets of Sleep. Realised what I was good at was translating this complicated bits of sleep into quite simple sort of formats and simple ways of delivering it. And from then worked with organisations and sports teams through my company Kipmate. So I'm one of a commitment. We've got other experts as well as me. But we work with people like in business. We work with like Premier Foods, Next, Under Armour, Marks and Spencer's, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, the government. We work with government departments, and in sport, I've worked with Rotherham, Sheffield United, Lincoln City. I work with lots of different Olympic athletes and West Ham United men and women's team. So and every club I've worked at, we've done well. 3 promotions at Rotherham. I think one of them we shared with Coventry one season. Worked with Chris Wilder when he got promoted to the Premiership. Cowley brothers at Lincoln when they got promoted to League One. At West Ham, we won the Europa Conference League in the men's team and had our best ever season in the women's. And obviously this season with Coventry had another good season. So it's been sleep seems to make either I'm really lucky. I'm just a bespectacled mascot, or sleep does make a bit of a difference to how teams perform.
Okay, so how did it come about that you got involved in doing football teams, and what does it actually, when you go into a football club, what does it entail?
So yeah, I got a chance at Rotherham. Rotherham as a club, as you probably know, when we're in the Championship, we're always battling to get above our level. I started working with him, Paul Warren's first season. The head of performance there at the time was a guy called Ross Burberry. He's actually just gone back under Matt Amshaw, and I, as a Rotherham fan, I'm really glad about that. And he was fundamental to me coming in, and actually interesting that we talk about mental health today. It was because like a way of starting to have conversations with players that weren't just about the physiological side of performance, but actually starting to have those conversations that maybe a little bit more emotional and what was going on in their lives, and helping support in that way. And we just did really well at Rotherham. You know, we had 3 promotions. Paul Warren was really well thought of. I was part of that team. We won a Papa John's. Sheffield United got jealous, so that I went and worked with them for a season. And then through the work at Sports Aid, which is a charity that supports young athletes, I got the chance at West Ham Women's. Again, moved across to the men's team and the Europa Conference League. Obviously, we that season, sleep was hard because if you're playing Thursday night in Europe and then you're playing Sunday in the Premier League, that's a hard campaign. Adam Hearn, who was the head of sports science, he was friends with Ross. I'd heard good things. I think Claire Marie was very eager to bolster that part of the sort of the performance support for the club. And you know, I came in the week before the Man United semi-final. Thought after when that goal went in from Victor, I thought I was the greatest sleep expert ever, and I'd helped Cov turn it around, and then you know, it went down quite well. So we did this season. We did this season as well. And really, the way I work. So that week I went in and just did a session on sleep, really introducing some of the simple ideas around sleep that we don't quite understand. So, for example, we wake up in the night 3 to 6 times a night, every single night. We need to be awake for 5 minutes to remember it. So when people say I want to sleep through the night, nobody sleeps through the night. And a lot of sleep is about keeping us safe. To sleep well, you need to be physically and emotionally secure. And it's about what our body perceives as a threat. So what our body perceives as predators, what our body perceives as saber-toothed tigers. And obviously, particularly after those midweek games, the job itself, playing football, it puts your body into kind of like in your nervous system. It's really engaged. You're hypervigilant. So it was introducing some quite simple concepts like that. You can't force yourself to sleep. We kind of know that, but we don't acknowledge it and accept it. Helping players understand who they were as sleepers. So how much sleep they need. Are they a good or bad sleeper? Are they a hot or cold sleeper? So I'm very much about practical tips and like working with the individual, helping them understand. So we did some sessions on particular things. For example, how things like sleeping pills, caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, and other drugs affect sleep. Night before a game, night after a game, sleep posture. So if you're sleeping in front, if you're sleeping in front, you're kind of in this position, so it's quite uncomfortable. So he talks a lot about mattresses, how to have a healthy sleep posture, duvets, how to be the right temperature for sleep, because it only takes a change in temperature of 0.5 degrees to start waking up. Lots of players got kids. The days of Trevor Francis not stopping, I think with Malcolm Allen, stopping him going to see his kid being born have long gone. So the players want to be involved in their kids' early months, early days, and it's supporting the players in that. I think Coventry quite good this season. It's always intriguing me at many of the clubs I've worked at where players don't seem to be able to count forward 9 months and work out that having a baby born in April or May might not be the best idea. I've had that happen a couple of times in my career. I don't think we had anyone in that situation at Cov. So there was things, so quite practical. Screening for sleep disorders. So there's sleep disorders like sleep apnea, which is a breathing disorder where you can stop breathing in the night. Just making sure sleep walking, sleep talking. So Rotherham worked with ex-Coventry player Richard Wood, if you remember Richard Wood.
Yes, yeah.
I can talk about this because Paul Warren talked about it in the public domain. He actually heads the ball in his sleep. At times, he's headed at a hotel room wall in his sleep, thinking it was football. So, that sort of problem, it's not just bad for his head. It's also, when he's doing that, he's not sleeping. That's not sleep. So he's looking at things like what the triggers are. Is it temperature? Is it stress, anxiety? Is it caffeine? Is it the game, the adrenaline, the cortisol? So it can be like sort of a varied amount of things. Some players sleep fine. Them players I don't want to talk to because I don't want to jinx them. Other players, we have to do a little bit of work, especially like start of the season. We had a lot of players coming in, those sort of new players that move into rented accommodation. It's not the way they live. I do a lot of work with individual players and like coaching individuals. I had a couple of Premier League players this early this season, and it's that sort of thing we look at. So if it's a new player in a new country, often new town, away from family, how do we help them get through those first couple of months without resorting to things like sleeping pills? Because sleeping pills don't give you sleep; they knock you out, and they're not massively healthy.
So I suppose in that case, then you worked with, I would imagine, a fair bit people like Sakamoto, Haji Wright, coming from the Turkey League and coming from obviously Japan and things like that. Did you work with them a little bit more? I worked with
they had been there a bit when I arrived, so not necessarily on that. I worked with the players who did have international duty because jet lag can be a problem. So we always checked in with those players. So like Joel and Haji and I think Bit of Santa Thomas was going to like Ghana, and it was just really checking in. I do think compared to general population, footballers sleep relatively well. So it was a case of like, have you got some tools? I think the US team were quite good. They did ensure that there was tools available. You can get glasses, these light therapy glasses that help reset the body clock when you come back into the UK. The club were really good, so they do things like they try and support the players, they try to help keep them awake when they arrive back, because we want to try and get back onto UK time as quickly as possible. So it is, I think my work is always easy in a club like Cov, where there was a lot of support for players. There was a sports psychologist, there was a nutritionist, sleep is all these things affect sleep. And it allowed me to focus on the thing that I got at. And as a club, I worked with the academy. So again, first club I did a little bit of work with the academy, but not much. First club I've properly worked with an academy. Just getting it in early, getting this stuff in early. So as they're coming through, as they go into their careers, they've got this knowledge around what to do when you can't get sleep after a midweek game, how to sleep in the right position, what to do when you're sitting in a hotel room for one night. All those little things that actually will help them in their careers.
So what would a session look like with you, with a football player from Coventry? Obviously, I know it goes into probably a lot of depth and stuff, but just briefly try and describe what a session would be like.
So it's me being available. I'm kind of like a shadow. I try and be there, but not there, because it's about players coming to you. And because if I go to play, I can generally tell after 1-2 sessions who's probably not sleeping the best. You can tell by the way we look. Their eyes will look a little bit more tired. Body language is a bit slumped. You'll when I'm doing the talk, so I'll often do like I did a 15-minute talk every time. You'd mention a certain thing. There is a prick up, so you think, right, that thing's obviously relevant to you. And then you just start like conversations. It's all about conversations, just having conversations around what's happening, what can I do to help. Here's a couple of suggestions. So we have players where like they've moved to a rented accommodation and the curtains are rubbish. Well, you can get these like blackout blinds that you can cut out.
Yeah.
Buy some of them, put them up in the windows until you move into the house that you're looking to buy. So it like a lot of it was just like very practical things. Like what to do when you wake up in the middle of the night. We like things like listening to a spoken word book or A to Z of anything. So you could use, if you want to, A to Z of like capital cities or A to Z of, and this is my problem is wake up in the night. So I use, I've been doing it that long. I'm now down to A to Z of non-league football teams in West Yorkshire where I live. Because you're trying to because really what we want, when we can't get to sleep, we need our brain to wander, not wonder.
Okay.
And that wondering, that after a game, even if you played well, you self-analyze, you look at it, and players are better than this. And this didn't happen at Cov, but I've had other clubs I've worked with where coaching staff are rewatching the game after a midweek game, you're not in any coherent state to make good decisions anyway. You can't take it in, and all it's doing is putting your brain into work mode. So we have to, when we're doing that sort of stuff, we've got to start accepting that, like, you've got to wind down, you've got to do something. You can't rush straight to bed. You might have been away game, you might have travelled home, it might be 2:00 in the morning. But if you go straight to bed, you're going to find it hard to go to sleep. We need to have a bit of a gap, have a little bit of a wind down time to be able to drop our heart rate. Sleep ultimately is about dropping your heart rate, dropping your core temperature. So if you can do that, then you're more likely to fall asleep.
Okay. Did you just do players, or did you do staff as well? Did you do Mark
Staff
Robbins, for example?
Yeah, staff as well.
Yeah.
I also did, again, first club I've done it at, we did it with the staff at the stadium. So we had some sessions with the staff at the stadium. Because I truly believe for this stuff to work, it has to be a whole club. And it has to be as many people as possible. And it has to be like, we need the club sleeping well. It can't just be. Football is a very pressurized environment, and we're never going to give perfect sleep, but we can always give better. And that's what we're always trying to focus on. I'd admit there's little tweaks, tiny little things that might give you better quality. So you're having the same amount, but it's better quality. Or you're having a little bit more because you're more in line with your body's natural rhythm. You're winding down properly. You're more consistent in your wake-up time. You're then more likely to get the sleep that you need.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Apparently, I'm a snorer. I've never heard myself snore, so I'm going to say that I don't. But I get a lot of bruises on my back, to be fair, from where I've been hit because I've woken somebody else up. If somebody snores like me, what can I do to help myself try not to snore?
It's really common, and so first of all, when we talk about snoring, there's two types of snoring. There's this type of snoring, in some ways melodic. The other type of snoring is more like.
I think that's me.
So that could be a sign of can be a quite serious sleep disorder called sleep apnea, which is a breathing disorder where you stop breathing during the night. It can be caused by a couple of different things, but that's actually really treatable. You can use, there's lots, people worry about it because there's a thing called CPAP, which you look like Darth Vader, pushes air down your throat. But actually, you can get dental appliances that you can put in your mouth. You can get implants in your chest that like a pacemaker that will tighten the throat. There's other ways that there's something that sits. Put little electric electrodes on your tongue, and that tightens up if it happens. And there is some sort of there's a couple of pharmaceutical some tablets, pills that come in that might help. I would say it's worth if that sounds like you. If anyone listening sounds like them, going to talk to the GP about it because it can be life limiting. So you're more likely to get COPD, have a stroke, heart disease. 2 million people in the UK have undiagnosed sleep apnea. Now, if it's snoring, it's working out what's causing it because there can be different causes. So snoring can come. So I'm a snorer. My snoring generally comes from here. It's in my nose, in the top of my nose, between my nose and my throat. So for me, I have a sinus rinse that I do. Put it in your nose, puts water through it. Have that, a bit of a Lozon, a bit of a cough sweet or something like that. That reduces the swelling. That helps for that. But that will help.
Sorry, say that. So what do you do?
So you get a sinus rinse. So it's like what looks like a water bottle. Put it in your nose, squeeze it. It comes out your other nostril. That clears the nasal passageway out. But that's if it is your nose causing it. You can get strips that work for some people. That can be quite useful.
See, I have tried the strips, to be fair.
You can get
and it did
sprays.
work for a little bit, and then it stopped working.
Because really, it's like what snoring is vibration of the airways. So particularly during REM sleep, you're paralyzed. So everything sort of falls in. Sleep on your back, that makes it worse. So sleep on your side.
I'm on my back constantly.
Yeah, so you might want to get they can get like maternity pillows, like body pillows, like a sausage. If you sort of sleep hugging that will help keep you on your side. So you could try that. You can do tongue strengthening exercises. So I'll show you a couple of them now. You can just stick your tongue out 5 seconds. You can take your tongue, put it on top of your mouth, and push against the top of your mouth. So just behind your teeth. Again, 5 seconds. Take your tongue, put it in your cheek, and push against it. 5 seconds. Do it the other side. 5 seconds. And as you do it, then do 6 seconds, then 7, then 8, and try and go up to about 30 seconds. And that strengthens all these muscles. So that can be helpful. As men, you know, it is unfortunately if we put weight on, in particular for men, you get here. But actually, the problem with sleep apnea is it's really underdiagnosed in women. So it's really underdiagnosed because when you've got very narrow airways, so you've got narrow airways, it's more likely to block. So I've worked like that's where it gets missed. But someone looks like me with broad shoulders, you know, prone to fat around here, it's easier to actually go. You might have sleep apnea or you might have snoring. If you're a petite woman in her 20s, you go to the doctor saying you're really shattered. So the other symptoms of sleep apnea are you're just really tired all the time. You're just really, really tired. Or you might have a blinding headache. That can be from this or the oxygen deprivation. So the other tip I will give you, if you are after you've had a skinful, obviously alcohol inflames the throat, spicy food inflames the throat. You could try a spoonful of olive oil because olive oil is actually a natural anti-inflammatory. One of the biggest regrets of my life is telling my wife this tip because after 8 pints, I can tell you now, than olive oil. And actually, the sprays, it used to be cheaper to buy olive oil. You can get sprays now that if they've got peppermint oil in, or they've got it often say like salad extract. Basically, they're moistening the throat. They're making sure that the throat is moist. So the first, like, if it's your tongue that's caused, if you feel like it's coming from there, that might be trying to strengthen exercises because we're trying to strengthen the tongue and the throat. Also, like, it's that thing when you put weight on, you might not realize it, but your tongue gets fatter and your nasal passages get narrower. So it is really the problem with snoring is it's so complicated that it's often what is causing it. Trying some different things. Start with the cheap stuff. Work your way up. But if you are choking or you're stopping breathing, your partner's going, you stop breathing during the night, go and talk to your GP.
The only reason I'm stopping breathing is because the hands around my neck.
That also could be a reason. But it's I think like we joke about it, but it can it gets in the way of relationships. I know when I snore, I feel really guilty. My wife will say, "You're a sleep expert and you're ruining my sleep." And it's that kind of. I think like the easy stuff. Don't sleep in your back. Make sure your pillow fills that space. So we did a lot of work on pillows with the players because pillows we're rubbish at buying pillows. When you're on a pillow, however you never sleep in your front. Do not sleep in your front, but you sleep on your side or your back. Your head should be like that, like you're facing forward. Your head should be perfectly straight, preferably on your side, because the problem with your back is it's just going to make you more likely to snore. So it's better to be on your side.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So, did you enjoy your time at Coventry? What did you? Is there anything that you can tell us? Who's the biggest snorer, or who's the best sleeper?
They're all quite. To be honest with you, they're all quite good sleepers. And like I said, generally football players are. The snoring never actually came up as a problem, and it is. I think the first club where it's not. Where it's not been. I've not had at least one player who still. Normally centre halves who've had they've had the back of someone's head too often. I'll end up being a snorer. It is that thing. No one was chronic, which you come across rarely. So there's no one like that, like what I've like ingrained, pops up all the time, sort of sleep problems. And I do get, but again, most clubs I've had someone like that. Generally, I thought the culture at Cov were really good. As someone who's worked in quite a few football teams and works, outside football, works with big organisations, works with governments, spends a lot of time in organisational culture. I thought the culture was really good. I was excited about working with Mark Robbins as a Rotherham fan because he didn't want me to sing the song that we used to sing for him at Rotherham when he was there. But
he did.
He played for us and he was a manager for us when. We were struggling. We were losing our ground. Obviously, Cov knows exactly what that feels like.
Yeah.
I think what we were with a practice run for you being in League Two. if you remember, it was our manager when we had minus 17 points and we managed to stay up. Mostly because Luton had minus 30 and us and Bournemouth had minus 17. Like them were days, weren't they, in football where half of the league's on some sort of minus points.
To be fair, I think there might be 2 in the Championship that are going to be dot points anyway.
Well, as a Rotherham fan, I'll be quite happy for Sheffield Wednesday to be dot points I'm always happy when the teams I work with beat Sheffield Wednesday.
Obviously, we do have to say we don't know whether they are going to be docked points or not. So we're just.
I will be crossing my fingers for that to happen.
Fair enough. So obviously, we've mentioned about different tips on how to sleep. Is there any other tips that you can give to us normal people and people that are. Like we said, in a serious term, mental health and things like that. Is there any other tips that you can give us to that?
Sleep and mental health are really closely connected. And I think your mental health will improve your sleep and your sleep will improve your mental health. Like sleep is foundational to life. There's 4 things you need to live: food, water, air, and sleep. And I think we don't. So first thing is take sleep a little bit more seriously. Don't think that you can just get by on a little bit of sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead. We can have a bit of a problem. Now in my work, I used to deal with insomnia, which is people who can't sleep like me. Yeah. I now deal with orthosomnia a lot, which is people trying too hard to sleep. So really it's about taking stress out of sleep. And I'll link it to the footballers. So you would think in football, and the reason why I'm very successful and the winningest sleep coach in football is I don't come in and tell all the players why sleeping poorly is going to affect their performance. Because that you tell them that, they will sleep worse. But what I try and do is separate poor sleep from performance. So night after a game, especially midweek game, you are probably going to sleep worse. You're not going to meet your sleep need. But actually, that doesn't mean play on Tuesday or Wednesday, on the Saturday or Sunday. That doesn't mean you're going to play poorly, unless you start telling yourself that story. Unless you start saying, "Well, I can't sleep." Oh no! As soon as you start that kind of doom mongering, worry, that sort of thing, then you will start to struggle to sleep. So it's removing. Sleep is really important, but you can't stress about it too much. And I think the one tip I give you that's really easy to do: an hour before bed, get ready for bed. You've got a targeted sleep time where you want to go to bed. Say it's 10:30, 9:30. Put your pajamas on, brush your teeth, wash your face. You've done everything. Lock the doors, put the pets out, turn the gas off, check everything's checked. You are safe because when we feel emotionally and physically secure, we sleep better. And then when you feel sleepy, go to bed. So you might be targeting 10:30 and you feel sleepy at 10:10. Go to bed. You might be targeting 10:30 and it gets to 10:30 and you're not sleepy. Carry on winding down. We're the only animal that goes to bed when we're not sleepy. So you need to understand your body's natural rhythm. Some people are more likely to be early types. Get up early, get up early, go to bed early. Some like to be late types. Work out what you are. Don't if you can. Some people can't because of work. They've got kids, that sort of thing. But if you can, try and sleep with your body's natural rhythm. It will make it easier. And try and be consistent in wake-up time. So if you're consistent in wake-up time, you'll feel sleepy at the same time every night, roughly. Do those things, you will start to sleep better.
What happens if you work nights, for example? Because obviously people do work nights.
Yeah.
How would you sort of get around that?
So in nights, I work a lot with shift workers. I was in this time last Monday, I was in a Premier Foods factory in Barnsley working with their shift workers at 1:00 in the morning on improving their sleep. And what we try and do there is we accept that this is not how it's designed to sleep. That was a night shift. You're not designed to work in the night and be awake in the day. So you've got to accept that. It's harder. When you get home, don't rush to bed. Because what we do is when we do shift work, we get home, we rush to bed, fall asleep because you're knackered, but you don't sustain sleep. You need to wind down. You need to drop your heart rate. So give yourself that wind down, drop your heart rate. Rather than getting 2-3 hours, you might then get 4, 5, 6 hours, and then using naps later in the day. So if you're napping less than 30 minutes or more than an hour and a half, you nap between those 2 times, you're more likely to wake up feeling groggy and feeling a bit sick. Okay. Talk to the people around you. Try and get them to be more understanding. Even little things like if someone's sleeping in your bed at night and you're sleeping in the day, get them to make the bed when they get out of bed. Because then at least you feel like you're getting to. There's nothing unless it's winter. Then you don't mind getting into a warm bed. But this time of year in particular, you get into someone else's warm bed. It makes dropping core temperature is really important to sleep. And if you can't get that, it makes it a lot more difficult. So it is about kind of acceptance again, like the footballers. Footballers work shifts. One night a week they work shifts. So it's the same thing, and they will still be up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. But what we try and do is get them to get in at 12:30, wind down till about 1:15, go to bed before sleep at 1:15. If we don't do that, they're going to bed at 12:30. They're still awake at 3, 4 because the brain's worried. Because middle at night, your brain will think about work, kids, relationships, embarrassing thing you did 5 years ago in a pub. That's when we think about failure. And you've got to kind of let your brain wander, not wonder.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you very much. Before I do let you go, though, James, can you just let us know if anybody's got any questions that they want to put forward to you? How can they get in contact? And what are you doing next? Where are you moving on to?
So yeah, if you want to ask me any questions, you can, or you want to look at some of my content. I do put a lot of content out there. I am at the Sleep Geek on social media. You can go to my website, sleepgeek.co.uk. If you work for an organisation and you want to get me in to help your people sleep better or your colleagues sleep better, the company I work for is called Kitmate, and we offer support to organisations. So I'm actually I'm hopefully I might do some work with one of Coventry's big employers. I can't say quite who, but brum in a couple of weeks. So it's there's me. We've got baby and kids expert. We've got the UK's only pet sleep expert, because a lot of people sleep with their pets. And we've got neurodivergent sleep expert, sleep and nutrition, sleep clinicians, jet lag. So when we're working, jet lag. If we'd won the FA Cup last season, we were in Europe. That would have come in a little bit, flying across Europe. And I don't know next season. I think we've done the work that we need to do. I might be backing one or two players, but I don't think there'll be a big turnover of players. I think the knowledge is still there, and I think sleep expert turns up too much. You start thinking you can't sleep. You start thinking of things that you can say. It's not about me being busy and being there all the time and putting a show. It's about being there when you need it. Now, I'm talking to a couple of clubs. I'm seeing people from some big clubs looking at my LinkedIn and thinking about it maybe. But the organisations I work with and the community work I do in communities. But I am actually sponsoring my local non-league team, Nostell Miners Welfare. We play in step 10 of the pyramid, and I'm doing some work with them where we're trying to make them the best slept club in the UK.
Nice.
Next season. So look out for that. We never know. We might turn up in the FA Cup third round from at the CBS.
I hope you do, mate. I hope you do. I hope you get there. Right, on that note, thank you very much, James, for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Some really great insight there as well into helping me, especially personally, with just doing certain things. And I might get that nose thing to try and clear my nose, because at the minute I've tended to take a hay fever tablet, because I don't normally suffer with hay fever, but recently I have. So I've been trying to take a hay fever tablet at night just to maybe clear my nose a little bit. So that's
I would say, so I'd say give it an hour or two before bed.
Okay.
The one problem with hay fever tablets is if they're now normally not drowsy, are they? If they're a drowsy one, that can then put you into a deep sleep and you start snoring. But I think particularly this time of year, if you only snore in the summer, I think it's definitely worth considering. Like hay fever tablets can be really useful. And like I say, a cough sweep, can just before bed reduce that inflammation in the nasal, especially a menthol one in the nasal passageway in the throat. It could help. But if it sounds like it might be a bit more choky, go and talk to your GP.
Yeah, no, to be fair, my dad does suffer with sleep apnea and he has a mask on as well. So I know it is kind of hereditary.
Maybe there.
Sort of thing. So I probably do. My partner, to be fair, doesn't say that I am not breathing. I'm always breathing. I'm just snoring kind of thing. But
again, you can have it and it not be severe enough. It is all about as mild, as moderate, as severe. I think we are scared of it, and it is one of those things that I'm trying to change. Yeah. We're not very good as men about going to the the doctors, are we, and things like that. I think, like I say, and I think it is really underdiagnosed in women because because it's not thought of as a disorder of women, and it's probably actually more. I was talking to someone today about it. It could be that there's more people in the sort of 20s and 30s who don't meet the traditional middle-aged men who have put a bit of weight on, who are suffering from it and are just doing nothing about it. Because even if you go to the GP with the symptoms, the GP goes, "You've got fatigue. It might be B12 or it might be iron." Yeah. Weirdly, when we're really really tired, our medical systems don't start with sleep, because the sleep help you can get in the NHS is is really poor, and it's not your GP's fault. Your GP is being over. GP, when I go on this morning and we have phone-ins, biggest complaint is my GP hasn't helped me. GP hasn't got many tools to help you with. That is not their fault. We need a serious conversation in this country about sleep and how we're supporting it in the NHS. And some sleeping pills and some digital apps, that's not enough. We need proper trained sleep practitioners helping people sleep better.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's my soapbox.
Say again, sorry.
And that's my political broadcast on behalf of the Sleep
Fantastic. Right. Thank you very much, James, for joining me. Much appreciated. Don't shoot it off when we finish recording. We'll have a quick chat afterwards as well. Just remember, guys, where you can find us. We are available on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe. We are available on podcasts as well, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. We're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. His logo's in the corner. And we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar and the Sky Blue Tavern. And we're in association with Sky Blue Coventry Ladies as well. So once again, thank you, James. And it's been much appreciated, you guys joining me as well. Play up Sky Blues.